What up, y'all? It's your boy Ben here, and we're back at it again with another Pokemon Pocket video for you all. Today we're going over the new meta. That's right, the meta is here after we've seen over this weekend about 1,400 players playing in these big tournaments. Shout out to the Ursi Day tournament for hosting over 1,000 players, and shout out to the Froggy X tournament, which is about 400. And so there is just so much data to comb through for you all, but essentially we're going to dive deep into the best decks that you can be using in the meta right now for ranking or just for playing games and having a good time. As always, y'all, we are super close of hitting that 10,000 subscriber goal, y'all. We're literally less than 300 subscribers away, so go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, and definitely click that notification bell button so you do not miss out on a thing. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on in. Up first, we're going to be taking a look at the winner of the Ursi Day tournament, and that is a Giratina Snorlax Greninja deck that is super crazy good. So let's go ahead and pull that up here. So you have your Froakie and your Greninja with the 2 rare candies here, 2 Snorlaxes, 2 Giratinas, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Pokemon Center Ladies, 2 Berries, 1 Cyrus, 2 Pokeballs, and 1 Rocky Helmet. I think the name of the game here is like, I've been starting to notice that, like, with the support here, right? Like, your main attackers, really, you're running psychic energy for this, and you're going to just here to kind of clean up things. But the water energy builds, or excuse me, the psychic energy builds up your Greninja really quickly. And you put the psychic energy here on Snorlax. You're using Greninja to chip damage and bring up for Cyrus for any easy hits, or for Cyrus to bring them right back up here. The combination of 20 plus 130 puts you at 150 or 120, and that clears a lot of the great things there. And like, Snorlax Berry is just a powerful combo, and the beautiful part about this deck is, like, if you go through the Snorlax, that's just 1 point. It's 140 HP. That's still a lot to get through. So you have a magnificent wall that can now attack quickly, backed up by a powerful EX or another high HP Mon and Greninja, in which you kind of get the health back. This deck really glued itself together to get on top of this tournament. Up next, we have the winner of the Froggy X tournament, taking that first place prize over here as well, with this Charizard EX Incineroar EX combo. This duo is very fierce in terms of the damage output that it can do, so let's go ahead and look at this deck as well. So here, and then we're gonna zoom out just a little bit just so you can see the proportions here. So Giant Cape is 1, so we have 2 Charmanders, 1 Charmeleon, 2 Charizard EX, 1 Litten, 1 Incineroar EX, and you have 2 Professor's Research, 2 Lilies, 1 Iono, 1 Red, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Rare Candies, a Pokemon Communication, Red Card, and Giant Cape here. The name of the game is essentially whoever starts first gets to attack. That's really kind of what it comes down to. You have your Iono there to help you find your pieces. You have your Pokemon Communication to also help find your pieces. Iono and Pokemon Communication are huge when you're doubling up into 2 stage 2s. Shout out to Rare Candy for making that happen. Obviously, you lean into your Litten and Incineroar to have at least one of the rare candies, since you have your Charmeleon here. And then depending on what's in front of you, depends on kind of like which Charmander you're leading, right? If there's a steel deck, you kind of like, and if you have both Charmanders in your hand, you kind of want to go for the Charmander that does a little bit more damage, right? 30 plus weakness is 50. That's a lot. So steel decks or grass decks, that's pretty good to put them on that back pedal there. And if not, you always can use just a combustion as well too, because at the end of the day, once you get into your Charizard EX, whether that's through Rare Candy or up through Charmeleon, that also just means you stoke up to the energy and then you start attacking for that 150. On the other end, Incineroar EX is such a powerful mon as well, because that Fire Fang burns like automatically, like you're not flipping coins for it. So that means essentially you're doing for 1 entry, you're dealing 50 damage. I mean, unless it's an RCSCX, of course, but that's still a good amount of damage through this, and so that's really, really powerful in that sense as well. So this was a really, really cool deck to see come out on top of another tournament. So now let's go ahead and take a look at some other decks that are also making noise. We have here the Solgaleo EX deck here featuring Skarmory. You have this rendition of where you're running a 2-1-2 of the Solgaleo line with its supporter with Skarmory. Oftentimes, depending on what you have in your hand, you can really decide on whether or not you're going to put your energy on Skarmory or on the Cosmog first. Skarmory can take some hits through the Giant Cape or even do some residual damage to your Poison Barb or your Rocky Helmet as well here, and then that just means you kind of get your Solgaleo ready by committing the energy here, knowing that you have the rare candy in hand or the Solgaleo in hand. Just kind of means that like you're good to go. 2 energy dealing 120. Yes, you do 10 damage to yourself, but that's okay. Oftentimes this Giant Cape is reserved for the Solgaleo EX so that we can go to 200 HP, and then that just kind of means you have 190 to start after you potentially KO somebody with the 120 damage. It's really good. Getting there quickly with that 2 energy just once again puts an immense amount of pressure on your opponent, and that's pretty good. And when you don't have this, you're really dealing 50 damage each turn. The high probability of you getting your tools with your Skarmory is very high in here as well. So I like that. This is an interesting mix. 2-1-1. I definitely think that you just need 4 tools. And whether that just means it's 2 Rocky Helmets and 1 Cape, or, you know, like definitely 1 Poison Barb here, but the ratios here you can mess around with and let me know how you do with it. Up next is an electric deck here. I feel like Oricorio has revived this typing. We really didn't see it a lot. It really didn't get that much of a push up. I mean, Pikachu EX is like a great card, but like is really only a finisher and not like such a strong build around as well. So having Oricorio here with this ability Safeguard can allow you to put this up front while you're building up your Magneton line here. I definitely said that backwards. But what's really cool about this deck is that you can focus on building up your Oricorio, so that way you can just put Magneton and then just preserve the energy going up that way. That means that you can attack quickly while also setting up your back line here. And then since these 8 are just your cards, you also don't run any rare candies at all because you want the Magneton. This is the most impactful stage 1, hands down. It's like Magneton and then whatever's next, right? Actually, might throw Kakuna in there as like viable stage 1 cards because you can paralyze a mon and stop people from attacking and or retreating before you go into the meat drill, but that's still pretty good as well too. But so what's really interesting about this choice for the deck, that they're throwing Guzma in here, and not just as a one of them, but really dedicating themselves to 2 here. I think that's a very interesting piece. As we see these decks, they do run a lot of capes here, and oftentimes if you do have a Guzma and you're able to Cape does extend life, right? Like people use Cape to get that extra HP, to get that extra sustain there, get away from the breakpoints that you were trying to set up, and Guzma kind of shuts that all down. And if you can magically get your opponent down to that remaining 20 HP, you Guzma, that Pokemon gets knocked out, they come in, and then you get to attack. So like it in those situations is actually pretty cool to see that work out in that way. Up next is Dark Tina. This deck is not going anywhere, and here's just another rendition for you all to see. They are using Mars, they are using Red Card. Red card is actually an interesting choice here. I've just seen folks double up on Mars, but I think the red here is a clear choice because it's already so supporter heavy that you kind of want to run another item to play alongside a supporter at the same time, which is what I think that this player would opted out for. But overall, this core still proves to be very strong here. Cases of dealing with Oricorio, right? Like you're trying to figure out like, well, how do you do damage? Well, if you have Giratina up front with a Rocky Helmet and you're chipping Darkrai out of there, the other person has to heal more often. And if you have 2 Rocky Helmets out, and so that way you're not like losing out on the Darkrai, you're still doing 40 damage per turn, right? They still have to attack you. You can attack them for free with Darkrai's ability. So it's not as easy. They still have a fighting chance here, and then since they're running, they're running Double Potion, they're running Pokemon Center Lady, the Rocky Helmet, like this, there's still a lot of sustain in this deck, and the fact that these Dark Tina players are innovating is kind of scary. I've also seen this also run with their very own Oricorio, but I think players are like bringing it back, bringing the focus in, and just kind of innovating around the sustain here to outlast those Oricorios here, and we can see that through the cape, the potion, and the Pokemon Center Lady. Up next, we have Decidueye, which is really cool here. We're running the Lurantis and the Decidueye package here. This deck, it did really well over the weekend as well too. Lurantis being a stage 1 card for 1 energy, Petal Blizzard, which does 20 damage to all of the board, which is really cool to see there. And then you have Rowlet, which is a skill die where you can do 10 damage to any Pokemon. Your Dartrix just as your stage 1, it's just there. And then you have your Decidueye, which Pierce the Pain has been an amazing move to add into the game, to just kind of see all the decision makings that's there, because you're dealing 100 damage to any Pokemon that already has damage to it. So the Lily here for sustain, the Erica for sustain, the Leaf Cape here for sustain. It's interesting that they included a Poison Barb instead of a second Leaf Cape. I might like play around with these ratios. I might go to in my testing to see how great and fun this deck may be. Maybe I swap this out for another Erica. Maybe I swap this out for a Leaf Cape. Like, I think being able to just heal and stay out there is pretty sweet. And then, yeah, like, it's just right here. Your game plan is very simple. Damage everybody, clean up with Decidueye, you win the game. That's pretty sweet to me. And with Dark Tina still being out there, Grass being a good typing into it is pretty nice. Another variation of the Grass decks here is the Mioscarda and the Decidueye decks. You're running a 2-1-2, 1-1-1 here. When you're starting off with Sprigatito, you're just clearing through the cards here, getting your evolutions as they need be. You still have your rare candies to evolve, but you still keep your stage 1 lines just to keep the consistency of get into there as quick as you can, because Sprigatito is still clearing out all of those Grassmon, so that's really nice to touch there. Erica's for sustain, Leaf Cape for sustains. The addition of Mars here, maybe I opt for Sabrina to slow things down, or to grab the EXs that may be hiding in the back here. But who knows? I like to use Mars as like my last option, but this deck did well, so maybe they got it. But like, I think that's what I would sub it for. There's no need for a Cyrus, since the Decidueye can attack anywhere, but I kind of like this idea of either using Sabrina as an early tempo, or as a means to get something up that's in the back that hasn't been damaged yet, and that can then face, that can get damaged, so that way we can deal with the Decidueye later. Up next, we have this Garchomp Rampardos build here. Once again, you're hyper accelerating into your Garchomp EX. What's really cool here is that because you are in just your skull fossils, like you are always starting off with your Gibble here, so that means that you really only need 1 Pokeball, because there's only 2 basics in this deck, just to try to thin that out and find it here. You're evolving up into the back. If you're able to rare candy into your Garchomp EX, that's also really great, because you're attacking for 50 anywhere on the board. If you're able to rare candy into your Rampardos, you're attacking for 130 anywhere on the board, while building up your Garchomp EX safely in the back. Just 2 powerhouses of a mon that absolutely love the rare candy here, so why not just put them together into a deck? And that's what this person did. And they did well. So I see the vision, I like the vision, and shout out to the pairings of these months. Up next is this Crobat Arceus Carnivine deck. This deck went 8-0 undefeated in the first day of the Ursi Day 1,000 player plus tournament here. This deck is also featured on the channel, so if you want to see like a run by it, different plays that you can make with it, there's a lot of like cool pieces here that's really sweet. Your rare candies are for your Crobats here. And what I've really learned, especially through this deck, by not including your stage 1s here and by keeping it to the rare candies, your Pokemon communication, gets to be more specific as the game goes on as to like what's in your deck and getting higher probability of what you're looking for. But essentially you want your RCSEX on the bench here, so that way Crobat can be doing 30 to the active spot, that way Carnivine can be hitting for 50, and then you're powering up your RCSEX here. And so your energy here is just grass to keep that consistency with Carnivine, and really you're just using Crobat as like a red or a better red each and every single turn that you are able to have it out there on the field. And then our last deck for this meta report here is this Greninja Oricorio Wigglytuff deck. This deck is super spicy because one, you have Oricorio in here, which has been a stopper for all these EX mods. You have Greninja in here that is also very powerful with its ability to be able to do 20 damage, and that 60 damage is no joke. This deck runs water and electric energy because Oricorio just needs one electric, Greninja just needs one water, and Wigglytuff just is colorless, so you can attack for 50 if you need to, but essentially you're just leaving it out there to heal. What would be really nice is to have your Oricorio up front, soak up any of the EX damage, and like really change what the opponent's trying to do. You have two Wigglytuffs, heal for 40 damage heal 40 every single time, and then you have your Greninja dealing 20, so that way you're attacking 70, or just even two Greninjas in the back, right? Really building that up. You have one Urut Candy in here, primarily because you only have one stage 1, and you really kind of want to support yourself here. Your opponent does split between the Sing and the Rollout. I prefer the Sing just because it can disrupt what people are trying to do in the beginning. However, with the addition of rare candies, maybe going the split to go for the damage as well is pretty useful, since you can stop the sleep with evolving and really punishing just those basic EXs there. But yeah, y'all, the meta's wide open, creativity is flowing, rare candy has brought life to old Pokemon and to these new Pokemon while still trying to keep up with these basic EXs here. And now you just kind of have a wide range of like what's playable, what's not playable, and just kind of like how you want to maneuver around that. So this has been pretty sweet. But let me know down in the comments below, what decks have you been using to rank up? Did it show up on this meta report? Is it a sleeper deck? Would love to know what you all are playing. Until next one, y'all, be easy. Peace.